You're listening to the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, featuring real business owners telling real stories about their real business experiences. Here are your hosts, John Chiappetta and Eric Jorn.
Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Business. We have Eric Jorn and John Chiappetta.
Our today's guest is Gus Harris of Flex and Burn Gym. Gus has probably one of the most interesting stories, listeners, that I think that you're gonna hear in this year, if not maybe the next few years. But before we get to all of that, we're gonna walk before we run here. We're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about Gus's gym, and just to kind of get some basics and some ideas of what he does and maybe what he does differently than other gym owners.
I heard Gus likes to make you run, though, John.
Gus makes me like to run.
No walking in his gym, right?
Well, if you go into his gym, you will see on the wall, "We make your fat cry."
That's true.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's true.
My fat does cry when I'm in there, but I'm crying along with it, so that's all right.
It goes on and on. That's right. So everybody has the same problem when they walk in. You have to run. You got to do something in that gym. So
absolutely cool.
So tell us a little bit about your gym. Like, how did you get there, and some of the concepts that you put into it? And every trainer is a little bit different. So maybe some of your mindset when you kind of get into that.
Yeah. So I mean, Flex and Burn started about 10 years, almost 11 years ago, 20, so it's one of those things that you find yourself driven into a path that it's your calling, or it calls you out, whatever it is. I was on a different trajectory in the past where I was doing some financial work myself too. So I work in corporate and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But I hated to sit down all day, and looking at the clock trying to get home. I'm always being into physical workouts and things like that. So, but while I was in college too, I also studied some exercise sciences too, and then I decided to go and get certified to do some training. In addition to my formal education, which was I study economics. I have an econ major, and I have a graduate degree from my kid as well. So it's just something that people's like, oh my goodness, why do you do this? Because I want to. So
that's awesome.
And I've been able to make it work. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great background.
Yeah.
And I will say one thing: working in the professional services position where I'm in front of a computer pretty regularly, I started looking at my steps. And it's bad. It's sad. I'm like, all right, I got to hit the treadmill. And I'm like, okay, well, if I run on the treadmill for an hour, I'm going to have 15,000 steps, right? No.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's like an extra 2,000. I'm like, oh, it didn't move the needle.
It's crazy. Well, what's crazy is you're sitting in front of a computer and you look up, and next thing you know, 2 hours are already passed.
Oh yeah.
And you're just sitting there like, okay, I've you get a little buzz on your wrist that says you need to get up and walk.
Get up and walk. Yeah. I encountered the same thing in corporate, so I would get up and walk throughout the building. I'm one of those individuals. I have to be doing something, whether I'm moving and physical of that nature. So, and I liked it. As far as getting back into how I got started, I think it's always been there because you find out you have some core competencies in certain areas when you've seen most of your friends, relatives, or people who ask you about questions within that arena. So I've always been that person. How do you do this? Because you live your life, and it shows through what your talents are. And so it was one of those things. I would get in tons of questions about fitness and things, and that's something I like to do anyway. So I'm going to get into it. So and it helps as well.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is that you look at Gus and you're like, okay, this guy's benching. He's benching every day. He's squatting and he's doing deadlifts. Yeah. You think of all these power moves that he's doing, and well, when you ask Gus, well, how do you work out? Because he's on push-ups, on pull-ups.
That's a lot of that. Yeah.
It's a lot of body weight.
Body weight exercises, the calisthenics, and then some plyometrics exercise. I try to entail some level of cardio in everything I do too, which is very important. So you work on your cardio, you work on your strength, endurance, flexibility, agility, reflexes, balance, all of it in one. So it's just a constant evolution of movements and transitional things you do. So I enjoy it because it keeps it interesting. It keeps it non-mundane is not something that you come in and there's a fixed environment where you're doing ABC and then Wednesday ABC, and then it gets old very quickly, especially if you want to do it for the long term.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't imagine doing the same exact workout all the time.
It's a lot. Yeah, you want to keep it interesting, particularly when you engage in clients too. The boredom level. It escalated very rapidly, so you have to be cognizant of making it interesting enough to want people to keep coming back, not only back, but wanting to do it as well.
Yeah,
there's nothing more difficult than having a client in the room, and there's not a lot of synergy there. There's no reciprocal kind of this, and because sometimes they're bored, so you have to work on some of the small intangibles that would help them out too.
Well, not only that, but you have to work with people from, different genders.
Oh yeah.
Different age levels, different
backgrounds.
Goals.
Yeah.
And so, you might have somebody in there that says, hey, I'm trying to work out to get to a certain goal. Like I want to play college football.
Exactly.
Or you got somebody working in there and they're just like, I just need to lose weight.
Yeah. I'm going for wedding, vacation, or whatever that case is. So there's speaking of vacation.
Yeah. right.
Somebody's going pretty soon.
Yeah.
But there's a wide spectrum of clientele too. So I go from, as young as 9 years old all the way to oldest is 82.
Wow.
So so you have to be able to adjust and adapt. Constantly.
You got to be a chameleon essentially.
Immediately. Yeah.
That's cool.
And your communication skills, that's a whole different level too. It has to apply on different levels and different backgrounds, different educational background, different professional backgrounds. From a 9-year-old, I could have 9 at 1 hour, and the next hour I have working with a CPA or working, with officer or whoever is out there that comes in. Yeah,
CPA comes in and he's like, man, this guy's stiff. He can't move much. He's got that soft posture.
He's got the little carpal tunnel from holding on to the mouse too long. Yeah,
this guy's got no flexibility at all. He stays on the ledger just like a ledger move straight.
We start off with a lot of stretching exercises, just so that we can do different things. We got to warm up the body.
It's always fun. It's a good environment, and
that's awesome.
I know we're bouncing all over the place here with this, but again, for me, I enjoyed different facets of learning from different clients too. Everyone comes in with different backgrounds, like we said before, and different understanding and different experiences. So I do take upon myself to learn something from someone when they come in as well. So it's a reciprocal relationship. So while I'm diverging what I know, I want to learn something from them too. So it's been very good for me in that sense. Yeah,
that's cool. That's why we're here today, right? Because we learned so much from our clients. And, John can say that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And we're like, man, there's just such good information that small business owners can share. It's just there's no forum for it, right? There's not like you can go on the internet and somebody's like, oh, here, I started a business and ran out of money and had to get out of the hole, and now I'm back in. Now all of a sudden I got 10 stores or whatever you're doing. Like there's no blueprint.
Yeah, no, it's not. And it's not synonymous across the board. There are fundamentals. The fundamentals are way less than the differences that occur when businesses among the full spectrum of different folks and how everybody did it and et cetera, et cetera. So it varies. It really does.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you've got a finance background or econ background.
Economics, I
got and master's out of Marquette.
Business. This is just one of the layer of my resume.
So you're a learner.
You got this finance background, and you're probably making X amount of dollars. So you're making this jump, into where you're charging per hour now for clients to come in and work out with you. What was that like? Like how difficult was that to take that pay cut?
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
Who said he took a pay cut?
That's exactly. So it's not necessarily a pay cut because then you do, with the LLC or we have with the tax liability and stuff like that. It's tax write-offs. I have some advantages of that, but I was able to do the numbers where I actually came out good, and in some cases better. From
working. So did you build up that business before you made that jump? Did you start like putting clients together and then doing stuff like maybe later at night, or did you just say, I'm cutting cold turkey here, I'm letting go, and I'm going to jump in?
I did cold turkey, and I wanted to do something different. So I've never been afraid of change, and so I just did it. I did build capital, capital for myself.
So you bootstrapped everything.
There was no such thing as the bank. I didn't leverage anything from banks and nothing like that. It was my own money that I built up, and then I started out again conservatively, very very low. So my overhead was little or nothing. So I mean, even down to the equipment, I bought older equipment and stuff like that. Wasn't trying to use the things to build my business off a facility. I focus on branding myself to build a business. So I began the brand in that essence. So it worked. It was very, very low overhead. I knew it would work because, again, the approach was, one baby step at a time, but it grew very rapidly, very quickly. So I was liquid in the first 3 months. I was fine, cool. And never turned back since. So
wow. Wow. Mm-hmm. I bet we'll hear that most business owners we talk to end up bootstrapping the start of their business.
Yeah.
So it's 2011 or 2010, 2011-ish
somewhere like that. Yeah.
So you just quit work cold turkey.
Yeah, it kind of sounds, again, this was shaved out of there a little by little bit. So I started talking to people, putting in a structure in place. It's like, okay, so.
So did you start with a lease or did you?
Yeah, it was a lease. So in fact, I started in a chiropractor's office,
okay.
Yeah, when actually we were talking, I went for his adjustments, what he was doing. That came, I had, how that goes, the crank in the neck. I was driving up to Milwaukee every day, my goodness. So I go talk to this guy. He's doing this little chiropractor thing. And then I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm up there. I'm driving Milwaukee back to the office. He said, oh, it's stressful. I said, yeah, I want to do something else. He said, okay, well. And then as I kept talking about it, I said, I'm probably looking for a place. I will start a little small room somewhere. But still keep doing my job here and there.
Yeah.
And then he said, I got a little place if you want to.
Wow.
So I guess it was just, in fact, it was a good environment too, because that gave me more opportunity to learn more about the physiology for sure. I mean, we do that in certification and stuff, but I mean, perfect environment for getting, kickbacks from the chiropractor himself.
Probably a good place to start building a client base.
Well, Gus gets real specific now. Like he talked about a specific muscle that was in my shoulder this morning. I'm like, it's just my shoulder, man. That's what hurts, my shoulder. And he's like, no, it's this. I'm like, I don't care about any of that. It's my shoulder, man.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So you gotta, it's that part. It's fascinating too, obviously, learning about all of that. So it's a good learning experience. So
you probably would have told me I was dumb a couple weekends ago when I pulled 315 on a deadlift after going cold turkey.
Yeah.
Now my lower back's like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, deload, ease back into it. You haven't worked out consistently for a few years. Take it slow.
So you're branding yourself, and you've got a very different type of brand because, all these gyms are popping around you are all,
fancy. They got the modern equipment. They got the thousands and thousands of dollars in inventory in there.
Yes.
But people don't go to the gym because you have a nice treadmill always. I mean, they didn't, subliminally they go for people.
Yeah.
People run businesses.
Did you see what happened to F45? About that?
No, was it that?
So F45, it's like one of those little studio gyms, like super high end. Mark Wahlberg backed it up,
of course,
big time. And like a week ago, the CEO just quit.
Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg sells out. Yeah. Stock price completely crashes.
It's gone tons of money in there. Yeah,
they're like big time monthly subscription and
that's it.
fancy equipment.
So yeah, so the lesson that is not always big is not always the best. You know, is you can grow steadily as long as I have an increase in revenue year over year, and I think I'm making progress. I don't necessarily have to be the biggest guy, but the most niche individual. So that memorable, that those things that can garner some sustainability for the long term, for sure. You know, because then sometimes those big ones too, if they tend to become synonymous across the board with other places. It's just another big gym, another this, another that. But what's so different if I can go anywhere and get the same thing?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting is that you only have so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
So at one point, I know that you had other people come in and help you train and stuff like that. Yeah. Where did that go? And
okay.
You know, what was the pros? What was the cons about that?
Yeah. Obviously, everyone talks about dealing with having employees and people working in there. So I've transitioned to doing more contracts now. So when folks come in, they want to use the facility. It's really also contractual basis, and so you don't have the risk and the liabilities that goes with that too as well. So beginning, and I worry about if there's such a, about this individuals not continuing with the same core competencies that I've tried to build and the niche and because again, sometimes people do come in with different ideas, which is fine, sometimes new ideas, but you want to stay the course, and I know from the formula for me what build my long-term sustainability is because of who I am and things that I do, how I treat my customer it sounds like a cliche on first name basis. They all know me. They all know my name. I know them. They know my family. I know theirs. Yeah. We're so super detailed. It's like a home gym. It really is. When you're in there, you're in like it's your personal space. And John can attest to that too. It really is. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that is. That's my number one recommendation. Like when business owners come to me and say, "How do we protect our business through a recession?" I'm like, you gotta be that plus one. So provide that plus one service. You need to be differentiated because it's those transactional relationships that people will cut those off if it's not necessary.
And to the smallest detail, like you're saying, it's that one little small thing that you do differently. That one little tiny thing, and everybody has that. But they don't grow on that in the business. Again, there are fundamentals, like I said, are still there. How to run a business. You can go read 1,000 books on opening a business and the formulas and stuff like that. But it comes back to the individual. What do they like about you? What value you as an individual? What makes you different? Because the customer votes on every day. They vote. I'm going to go this guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. They're all doing this quote unquote the same thing. It's really not. It's the same type of thing. It's a difference. The same type of thing versus the same thing. So and then the customer votes on that and say, I'm going to go with that one because I think I'm going to get something different from there.
Yeah. We were just talking about that, today or yesterday about how we've positioned ourselves in the marketplace as not just doing the typical things you'd think your accountant does. And it goes right along with that, right? Yeah. You got to have that relationship. You got to have that plus one.
That plus one. Because everybody comes up with they come in with a preconception. So when they walk into your office, they already say, "Oh, I'm going to go see your CPA." Right. You know how John is.
Right. Well, I've gotten in the past where people come in for their tax return and they're like, I feel like I'm going to get my teeth pulled. And so. You've got to try to drive it as a little different, but they're not necessarily a reflection on you. It's just a reflection of the process, and what we're actually working on that day. But you still want to, I don't want people to come to my office and be like, ugh, I got to go and my tax return. I would rather say, hey, we've already advised you and we walked through it. The compliance is just a formality.
Check the box, right?
Yep, so in essence, just managing their expectation too. So you get involved on that.
So, I have to imagine that managing expectations for you because somebody comes in, I want to lose 300 pounds. You know, okay,
in 3 months because I'm going to Greece.
right? Yeah. So there you go. So, but you know, not just somebody coming in to work out with you is you know, just a portion of the battle. It's how they're eating. It's how they're, you know, how are they treating their body outside of the gym. So do you work with people on a nutritional level as well?
I do have a nutritionist that partner with too who provides some of those services too. So when the customer comes in and requests that's who I would do a reference with. But as far as the exercise and the expectation, it's a very intrinsic thing. It's something someone, you know, by the time the contemplation, most people contemplate for sometimes a year before they decide to walk in the gym. They're motivated by different things. But one of the things I've seen for sure that they're most motivated by is a health issue, you know, not just the aesthetic of looking good, you know. One time they will go to the hospital and the doctor say, well, there's either this or that. Yeah. And then so you get people at those critical emotional points when they walk in your office. So you're just like, okay, so I have to, you have to manage it accordingly too. And then you show your empathy is there. I naturally would do that, but you have to, and then build them and work on self-esteem. So you wear many hats to, to self-esteem.
Well, the magic doesn't happen overnight.
No, it really doesn't. And that I tell them too as well too, it's a constant reminder, it's like, because we're in a society where everyone expects immediate gratification. It's like, oh, I'm just go here and do ABC, I'm fine. Oh, so we've been doing this for 30 years plus.
Right. Well, I mean, to take the listener back a little bit, I actually played football with Gus at Carthage College. Yeah. And, if you think he's a tank now, he was I kind of sidestepped him. I said, you want to run, man. You just go.
Just go.
But I mean, we actually talked a lot about working out then, and it was such a different workout than what we look at today. Yeah. I think even the athlete that would walk in and wants to play football, their workout is extremely different. Than the same workout we would have done back in the mid-90s.
Yeah, the purpose is different, it evolves. It really does.
A lot more explosive. Working on like that, I think they call it small twitch.
Yeah. Fast twitch. Or fast twitch, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you find that if the economy, let's say 2007, 2008, that was pre you open up your gym. From 2010 to 22, we've had a pretty darn good run from an economic perspective. Yeah. But do you feel that people would, if times are starting to get rough, I mean, if we're going through COVID, do you feel that they would say, okay, I'm going to stop kind of working out a little bit to save some money. I'll do some stuff on my own or whatever. How do you combat that a little bit?
Yeah, there's always some financial concerns there too. And again, because thank goodness for some formal education, I'm able to build some reserves that can kick in if I need to. Have some equity in the business. And also, what I found out even during the pandemic, at the height of it, I still had the loyalty of customers that stayed irregardless. Of course, we had the technology side where we're doing Zooms and stuff like that, but the few that even there was some that, I mean, it really, really gave me a higher perspective that who couldn't even come at that time. Still decided to pay because they were that loyal, and I never forget those customers. And it gets emotional for me because the fact that they saw it in me, and that like, oh goodness, we're going through a crisis here, and they are as well too. They have, but they still say, you know what, we'll still give you a check because you've been so good to us, and when this thing goes over, we can just have our continuity from there going forward. So. It's a blessing. I can't even emphasize that because it's a big deal for me. You never forget those people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're learning like three core concept things on at least protecting your business, right? So have those really in-depth personal relationships with your clients. Yeah. Conservative finance, right? Don't get yourself over leveraged. Make sure you got good, safe reserves. Yeah. And And the last one is stay flexible, right?
Flexible, yeah.
So it sounded like you adopted to Zoom right away.
Yep, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
And never keep. There's an old cliche: don't keep up with the Joneses. Yeah, that's you'll look across the street and see these guys with some of the best, fancy, wonderful. And it's like, oh, I want that too. I want that. But again, you can grow in other areas that will compensate for that shortfall. So you don't have the glamour and blah blah, but again, you as an individual, what you bring to the table, nobody can match that. You're one individual who's unique within himself, who can it's a big part of my business too.
So,
awesome.
So would you say that based upon that, most of your business is referral based, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And as far as I should start posting a little bit more on Facebook, because I just posted recently after 6 months of not posting a thing on my business. Everything is referral. It's really the best ones that I get. Referral. Oh, I heard about you. So
awesome.
Your work is your sales. You're selling not to individual, because when the individual walks into the office, you can put a pitch out there. You're not selling anything. They've already made that decision.
Yeah.
Where they're going to, within the first 10 seconds of even seeing you. But prior to that, before they walk into that facility, they know what they want to do already. So that part is done. So the sale, in my essence, is done while you're training, while you're interacting with your existing customer. Those guys do the selling for you. They go out and they will talk about you. You got to see that guy. You talk to this guy, so that CPA, man. Yeah. I went in, he was like, he did this. Something different about you. And then there's something different about all of us. Every single individual brings something to the table that's unique. So we can grow on that and,
Absolutely.
And then make our customers,
Yeah, I run our sales and marketing division for our firm, and most of our, probably at least half, if not more, of our new clients are some sort of referral from an existing client or an existing relationship. And our marketing strategy is, hey, how can we better educate the small business community? Yeah. That's why we're here today doing this. Everything we do, we're not calling people. We're not saying, hey, your accountant sucks. Right. Time to step it up. No, it's
I think that's kind of like Mad Men marketing, right?
Exactly.
I think that, what's interesting is I can definitely say Gus has one of those very warm personalities. I think you can hear that in here while we're talking with them, and I think that's a major portion of his success. Two, I like walking into a gym and the guy that's going to work out with me, isn't like hanging over his belt either. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, the product isn't just okay. I think it does assist that he's in great shape. And I think to me that makes a huge difference. To me, working out is kind of like going to church. It really is.
It really is.
For me, it's just where if I don't work out, I can really feel it emotionally.
Yeah. I've been listening to The Power of Habit, great book.
Yeah.
And they talked about the YMCA did some research on, how to better retain their customers and clients. And so they thought about, do we need all the new equipment? That's what marketing says that you should
do. Upgrade.
Yeah, but the studies said that the people who had the social relationship with the gym are the ones that came back consistently and worked out consistently.
Yes, 1,000%. I can reaffirm that. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why they focused on getting staff that you walked in, you're a warm welcome. They got to know you. They got that personal touch and classes. So then people to interact. Yep. It's a social event. Now all of a sudden they're showing up consistently, and that's how the class-based workouts really exploded.
Well, you're not a credit card as you walk in there. There's no name. They know your name off your credit card. The first thing they want to that's just from your site. They hand their hands out for your credit cards. Like, first, who are you? It's one of those things. Yeah. So that's very important.
Yeah, it's funny. It was just that section this morning when I was working out. I love listening to audiobooks. Just get a little extra in, and that came up this morning, and
That is true.
It's finally hitting me. That's
That is
cool.
100% true. In my opinion, that's very, very much so true.
So with that relationship that you have with your clients, now you do some class work though as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You do
So boot camp class.
I mean, I'm a one-on-one person. That's just the way I like to work out. But
Yeah.
that's not for everybody. Some people like going with the class and
Yeah.
bringing a friend and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the class versus the individual workouts, and how does that impact your bottom line at the end of the day?
Well, again, most obviously the classes are more of the cash cow of the business, because again, cumulatively you're doing
got more
the number of
people
people for the hour or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also realized too that most of the people who are in that class started on the one-on-one basis too. So so you develop, especially the new person coming in who may be uncomfortable with a group environment, or exercise a whole, they don't have that confidence, or whatever the situation is. They're new to this situation, and you build that to the class. So that's another elevation. And most, I'll say 90% of them follow that route.
Cool.
Some comes in just out of the street and they can walk into the class and do it. But most people, at least from my experience,
Personal training first.
they do some of that, and
It sounds like that walk to run concept.
Literally.
Well, I mean, I think I've done maybe one or two of your classes.
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of them.
I mean, that's true.
Well, I mean, I ended up screwing around the whole time. That's the problem.
That's true.
I'll do stuff a little bit, but I mean, it's interesting is even if somebody's in good shape, I still like working out individually. I mean, I like that better. For some reason, I feel like I have a better result at the end of the day.
Correct.
The classes are fun if you have the right people around you.
Correct.
Some of your friends, maybe some family members, that kind of stuff. But I mean, I will say Gus does make regardless of which one you're in. He makes it fun.
It really
I think that makes a huge difference in comparison to other places I've been.
We have a good time.
It probably is a lot more work to put together a group class, because you have to figure out things that, an individual, you have to get to know that individual to tailor the class. The group class.
It's
transcend across, a 6-year-old to an 82-year-old.
You have to be very, very, very observant, and then you got to look at a lot of things. You can just constantly scanning the room, can see what's going on with each individual.
Well, for sure. Well,
interesting.
Well, if your class is kind of catered towards maybe somebody who's a medium to advanced type of person who works out. Hey, I brought my friend with, and they may not be able to keep up.
They might not. The different dynamics there too. So you got to be able to change pace if you need to, especially one of the things I do constantly. I look at the body language is phenomenal. You pick up that skill so well as you go along, and you find yourself doing it in everyday life when I didn't realize it, because it's something you have to do while doing, practicing. But when you walk out, it sharpens, and you can tell, just from the way the person is talking and breathing, I can tell what their heart rate is. I mean, what the range or whatever. That's
all those cool things. Skill set.
You look for all the different signs of stroke and things like that, but that's where the formal education comes in. You learn some of those things and go from there.
Nice.
What do you think is next for Flex and Burn? How do you see? What's the kind of next 5 years look like for this? Are you going to?
Come on, that's the total question, right?
Yeah,
right. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
So Flex and Burn, I will retain it. My goal is to retain it for the rest of my life, whether it's in a solar capacity or somehow or the other. I will be doing different things. I've got the education to do whatever I want to do. So, but this is a baby that I like. So I will retain that. So, whether it be, I'm gonna be this guy going to the nursing home when he's just like, we got to do something. Yeah, we're doing our workout today. I do see it for the long term.
If we're in a nursing home together, we're probably having wheelchair races.
When we going down the hall.
Well, you're probably smashing into each other.
That's true. Oh yeah, he's very competitive though. No, he really is.
I am not smashing into this.
Yeah.
Like I said, I avoided that for many years.
Yeah, but I do want to keep it. I will keep that for a long time. I'm proud of the business, and as small as it is, I do want it to stay around for a very, very long time. As long as I'm healthy and I have the capability to do it, and God willing, I will continue to do something within that capacity. So now, again, I've been looking at other things where I can do whenever I can do consulting and doing some other work along the way too. But that piece, I want to keep it on the resume. That flexible brand is like, because health is everything, as you guys know. So it really is. Yeah. Everything comes secondary. If you don't have your health, it's meaningless.
Yeah. We had a really tough tax season this past year, and coming out of it, my number one takeaway is, man, I need to make sure my health is right. Because doing that long term could really take a toll on me. So
I mean,
you guys go through.
Get your stress levels up. There's nowhere to release it.
Oh yeah.
And you're pretty sedentary. You're working. If you're working 12 hours, 13 hours a day largely in front of a computer.
Yeah,
right?
I understand.
Not a lot of steps. That's when the meter's only saying like 2,000 or 3,000 a day, and you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I know. I understand that very well. Yeah, for sure. There has to be a release point, so you go out there and do something. Yeah, the stress radicals that build up in your body, the cortisol and all that. Yeah, you really have to do something, particularly in a heavily sedentary position. Yeah,
definitely. So obviously, as a smaller enterprise, you're probably really in tune with just knowing where everything is financially for the gym all the time, right?
See, that's part of my background too, so that helped a lot too. I was able to leverage a lot of things I learned in corporate and through experience with other financial folks out there when I was working, and then, like I said, so I also do that when people come into the gym too. I still leverage their knowledge, et cetera. But yeah, that built some confidence and fundamentals. That's why I wasn't afraid to do it, because I know I could do it.
You could almost project it out.
It builds very cool confidence.
What are you using to manage your finances? Are you using like QuickBooks or something like that?
That's QuickBooks. Yeah, for the mainframe. That's QuickBooks.
Are you tracking like any KPIs or measurements?
Oh yeah.
So
I do it.
What kind of things are you tracking?
Just trending from what seasonal, what my growth is through the course of the year. Where the biggest demographics for folks who working professionals that I target to. Most of my clients, if there was a market target group, working professional, busy.
Okay, that's cool.
Folks like you, that really busy. You want to come and get it done. I build the thresholds. I'm a facilitator at that, and then I build the exercises, whatever you need. And then go from there, and then go back to your professional. Yeah,
right. So you get to be the nice accountability for them. Because I mean, as holding myself accountable. Oftentimes I'm making a decision. Right? Am I going to get a little bit more work in, or am I going to get my workout in? And that's where the point where I've gotten, where I'm trying to prioritize my health a little bit more than.
So you see some seasonality to your business.
Oh yeah.
So January, everybody's coming to you.
That's the big point when everyone wants to sign up to
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, but I'm very cognizant of that too, knowing that I'm big into the loyalty. Especially I reciprocate the loyal folks, so I prioritize them still. Even the ones who've been with me all through the year, I do take in new folks, but then. If I have one spot and I have to decide if I want to keep, whoever I have, I will stay with mine.
And like you said, you manage the expectations. So, the New Year's resolution crew comes in and you say,
those tend to fade quickly too, unfortunately. So, and like I said earlier, it's a very intrinsic thing, and so people get motivated. And most people the worst thing you can do when you drinking and making New Year resolution, they come in and say, oh, I'm going to do this. So I've seen tons of people walk in the door who do falter within the first 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I have to decide, okay, where do I want to put my focus on the folks who want to do this or the ones who are going through just a phase or whatever, But then sometimes we're going through the phase too, not putting anybody down, but you can build up that with them too, if so that they stay.
Yeah, your time's limited, right? So, and it's expensive for you to bring on a new customer in a way, expensive to your time.
Exactly. So it's a time management issue too, as well too. So how do you want to weigh it? You have to decide, make some decisions there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what would have been maybe one of your accomplishments? I mean, if you were to so all the people that have come through your door and work out, and where do you think okay, that was, this person came in, this was my greatest project, but whether it was like a big weight loss or you got them ready for some sort of an event, what would you say was there's something that really stands out to you?
Yeah, I can't call individuals' names, of course, but there's a couple ladies, obviously, where excuse me, they lost over 100. It was around 130 pounds each of them, but it was health reasons too. I mean, they stayed alive, and they were at the point where they were, health was deteriorating, and so I'm working with an individual right now, a male who came in over 500 pounds.
Wow.
And we've got him down. We're still working currently. So he's really good guy, really, really good guy. So we're making some progress there. So he's down over about 100 pounds or so now. So
is he working with your nutritionist as well? I mean, something like that. I would see.
And then he and I do one-on-one. Of course, that's not a group class, obviously.
Absolutely.
But that goes to say, when a person walks into your facility at that level, and you have to be very, very, very
well, in a sense, their life
careful.
Is in your hands.
Cognizant of what you're doing. So that's where it's important to make sure you do some research on your trainers if you're picking folks to work out with, not the overzealous, immature, who wants to just come in. I got a point to prove. I'm going to run this or that. Yeah, you really, really, really have to be careful. And go slow and work, and you pace it. You do what you have to do to get there. But you got to be very, very, very careful. Anything can happen anytime. People pass out, faint, vomit, throw up, you name it. It's huge. Hurt the knee. I mean, it happens. Back, you see it all the time.
Yeah. Do you know the actor Ethan Suplee?
I'm not sure. No.
So he was Remember the Titans, and really big. He was he had to have been over 500 pounds, and he lost all of it. He's big, strong, in great shape now. He did a really good podcast on Joe Rogan's show.
Was that Varsity Blues?
Yeah, Varsity Blues. Yeah.
Okay. So I remember he was Billy Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So his transformation is awesome. I mean, that could be a really nice little tool. He did that.
There's a lot of people I worked with, folks who done great in sports. I mean, went to colleges and did really good too. And, it's just been quite a few.
Changing lives.
It's
huge.
Especially the college kids too, when they leave and they come back. When they come back to visit, you've made an impact because they come back to say hi. It's a big deal. Because they don't have to. They can go ahead,
Now, speaking of life-changing types of things, I'm just going to switch this and I'm going to point the finger at you a little bit. And if you would take a moment and just kind of talk to the listeners about, obviously you're talking and you have a little bit of an accent, right? Okay, so
it's immigration.
Yeah. Yes, it's just, I'm the INS, and we're gonna have a little talk. But if you could just give our listeners a little bit of, where you came from and how you got to the States, and maybe some of the things that you went through and how you think they shaped who you are today.
Yeah. And then speaking about taking risk, and then that's where it's part of that. I think it formulated back in my background too. I take risks, and but I was born in Liberia, West Africa, a small West African country, and we had a long story short, it was a civil war in Liberia. Wow. So we, of course, you either had an option of staying or leaving, one or the other. So left and went into Ivory Coast, in the country next door, in a camp. So was there for 2 years, almost 2 years. And then a lot of folks from here, some church folks, missionary folks, friends, and helped me get out. And and then I ended up at Carthage. Yeah, so I've been very fortunate.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
No job is beneath me. I help anybody because people did help me a lot. So it's real. It's not because, oh my gosh, this guy just want to come in and the money and all that. No, that's second way. It's second, third. If there's a word, third there is. Fourth there is way down the line for me. That's my motivation there too, and still done well with it too. So it doesn't. Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
I believe I've seen a statistic that says that immigrants on average are wealthier than naturalized citizens.
Exactly. It comes with the conservatives and manage, we save.
Yeah.
So it's managing money management. A lot of it. Yeah.
Well, what do you think that impact of leaving your home, and then here? I mean, this man left his home at, how old were you?
I was 19, 20.
19, 20. Spent 2 years in a refugee camp, and I don't know if people really realize that camp. It's not like it's not like some
YMCA Camp Duncan,
right? You're still fighting for food.
There's no. You're not going to Starbucks every morning with your latte coffee, whatever.
Sometimes when you're a refugee, they don't want you there either.
No,
quite frankly.
No, and that was what we had there too. When we in Ivory Coast too, there were contemporary situations where you're not even you can't be identified. I mean, what you're not a citizen, you're not this, you don't belong there, you don't speak the language. Sometimes we learn the language as we went along, but it was just tough, and you always be the foreigner in somebody's place, So most times people just try to get out of there. The economic situation was not.
So how did you get from that camp into Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Because the folks that I work with, they were mostly affiliated with the Lutheran Church.
Okay.
So because Carthage is a Lutheran affiliated college, so we had one opening. I think the story was someone. They would bring in like 3 African students from Africa. Most of them came from the South, Namibia or South Africa, places like that. But for some reason, that particular year, one of them left to go back and couldn't stay. So I was very lucky.
Wow.
Very, very fortunate.
So did you have to put in an application, or what was the process there?
I know, it's interesting. I didn't do all the SAT, ACT, right. all that T's you guys do here. I came on the campus straight. Yeah, I came. And the next couple of weeks I was in class. Wow. Surreal. And I'm sitting
what month did you start at the beginning of the school year, or did you come in January or something?
No. It was in the summertime. I got
So then when winter came, you had to be like, what?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy.
It's Wisconsin winter too.
We're right down the lake too. We're like, oh my god. I acclimated fast, so. But I'm very, very fortunate. Everything I see. I see it as a gift. I see it as a privilege. I see it as They always sometimes say, "Why you always happy?" But again, there's reason behind that. You have your past and you see how far you've come, it's really not where you are, it's where you come from or how far you've come, so it's the journey, and I continue it. So
I'll definitely say I don't think, no matter what time of the morning I've walked into a class with Gus, he's always been energetic and very smiling. There's
that's awesome.
I can't remember a day where I walked in and he was down on something.
No.
Wow.
And
that's rare.
If he was, I would probably stop my entire life and
You'd be
say,
like,
what's going on? What's
Wow.
going on? Because,
True.
I walk in and, I'm still rubbing my eyes a little bit. But
I'm screaming from the back, JC.
And I'm just like, what? And I'm walking down the stairs, trying to inject some caffeine.
Nice, actually. Wakes you up in the morning.
So I mean, I will say this is that, knowing your story and some of the things that you went through and the fact that you've always got a smile on your face, I feel lucky the fact that I get to know you and get to do stuff with you. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast and giving your story and talking about your gym. I think that there's a lot of things our other business owners can take away from the things that you discussed today. And Eric was great about pointing out those different topics and stuff like that. So
I might even add the one where it's not about where you're at right now. Think about where you've come and where that journey. And step back and appreciate
it. You have to.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm taking that away. If I'm a little down for the day, I'm going to think back about where did I come from? Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it motivates you. It really does. It's a stern reflection. I mean, when you just step back, like, wait a second, why am I complaining? Look at where I've done this. Look, because we tend to just get into that fog of complaints and things like that. But I enjoy this for the moment. It's this time in my life. This is what I'm doing. Like I said, I always want to keep some kind of physical exercise too. I want to be doing different things, of course, I'm doing in my life. But this will stay for a long time. I should have trademarked the name. I did it. That's one of the things when it started out. When we did that, found the name in 2010, something like that. I Googled it, and nobody in the world had it.
Wow.
And since then, everything copies. They can't do it in Wisconsin, though, because I'm LLC there. But
actually, I think I saw it because I did Google you the other day.
And then people.
There's in California.
There's a California. And then I found out there's one copied it in Europe. I forgot which country it was. I know they copied it in the Philippines. It's on the World Wide Web. You can see it. And then they copied the same name in Australia.
Okay.
But that's one thing I'm proud about. I know I can look at that and say nobody had it prior to them. But they can do that in Wisconsin, though. But
have you looked on the trademark database to see if anybody's tried to do a trademark?
Yes, somebody did. Somebody tried to trademark, but they did. They did it very close to the name. So if you try to trademark, guys know the difficulty with getting that passed because it was similar. Then now it looks very similar.
Yeah, I mean, when we went through the rebranding process, it was like, okay, here's a name. We all like it. We like the idea. And then you get to trademark or you get to, all these other company names. And you're like,
that was,
done.
Move
on.
Everybody's got it. Yeah. So that was one thing I learned too. That slipped me along the way. No regret, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's
but I'm glad they liked it. That it's doing something for somebody out there in the world.
Right?
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been a total treat.
Yeah, it was fun.
Come back anytime, man. I think we can just
come back and maybe we'll have you do
a little exercise.
Or
you want to do arm wrestle?
Yeah. There we go. Let's do a live arm wrestling here. Come on, let's go. Let's see it.
His arm looks like my thigh. So.
He can curl more than I can squat, right?
Jeez, you guys are funny.
That's awesome.
Man, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you too. I appreciate you guys just talking to me, and it was fun. So,
our pleasures. Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and we hope to see you next time.
Right.
All right. You have been listening to the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. You can hear more real stories from real business owners about what it takes to make it in business by subscribing to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you like what you hear, leave a review and a 5-star rating. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs and Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com.